Welcome to the National Real Estate Post. I'm here with the great Barry Habib once again, as you can see. But Barry, before we get started, it's time for our sponsor insertion into the show. I have to get that done. And I'm going to bring up Carl White, the Marketing Animals. I don't know if you're aware of this. He has a podcast that he does every single week, Barry, and he has incredible tips, strategies, etc. on this podcast. It's completely free. Carl's one of the brightest guys out there that I've ever met. He's always got like the coolest little, here's what you can do. Here's what you can do. It's like, dang, I could do that. That's not so hard, you know? But anyway, here's the banner right here on your screen. It's over on your right. You scroll down a little bit. You'll see his banner there. If you're on your mobile device, scroll all the way down past the comments. You'll see the banner there. And on Facebook, there's a link around here somewhere. But his Loan Officer Freedom podcast every week, tips, interviews, totally awesome, completely free, you know, no cost. Don't miss it.
I've had the honor of being on his podcast. He really does a great job. And you're right. He has great ideas. I'm so glad you inserted him right here because it's important.
Absolutely. Yeah, right at the front. Let's talk the good stuff. Let's get to the Barry stuff. And that's, of course, we got to talk about rates a little bit. Feds are active today. And what's your thoughts on that?
Well, we all know it's no secret the Fed's going to cut rates by 25 basis points, but it's going to be interesting to see how mortgage bonds react. It may not be the way that we're hoping. Now, I hope and I think that this should be perceived as good news, but sometimes, and it'll depend a lot on the comments by the Fed afterwards. So they come out with their announcement, their statement, but then the press conference starts and the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, will start to answer some questions. And if the bond market perceives this as, this Fed rate cut could present some inflationary concerns, bond prices won't like it. And that's going to really stink for us because what's going to happen is that everybody's out there saying, oh, good, the Fed cut rates, so that means rates are going lower. And you might be looking at pricing that's getting worse. So it's important to understand and grasp this. So here we go. We'll try and make this concise, but it's important that we get the picture. So bonds care, like mortgages or 10-year treasuries, they care about inflation because inflation means over time prices go up. So if you're a bond holder or a mortgage holder, so you gave your own money out on a mortgage, right? And what happens is that you're collecting fixed payments over a long period of time. If inflation starts to go up, the value of those fixed payments that you have gets eroded. It doesn't buy as much. Correct. That's exactly right. So if inflation is stable or lower, that's good. But if inflation starts to go up, your value erodes more rapidly. So what happens is that people lending money for a long period of time will have to demand a higher rate if inflation goes up. And they can take a lower rate if inflation is lower because their value holds on longer. And quite frankly, that is pretty much how interest rates move up and down. People try to overcomplicate it, but at its core, if inflation goes up, rates have to go up. If inflation comes down, rates can come down. The reason why rates are so low right now is because inflation is very low. Yesterday, we got an inflation report that was pretty favorable. It was about in line with expectations. It's called the Personal Consumption Expenditure. The Fed loves this one. It's their favorite. They love it, right? Now, they should be looking at CPI because that takes into consideration the cost of a roof over your head and out-of-pocket medical expenses. But heck, who cares about that, right?
Right.
We don't care about that. They'd rather go with PCE. Okay. But on this measure, it was really low. 1.6% was the core rate, which strips out food and energy. And other people say, well, why do you strip out food and energy? Because there's a real reason for that. Because the Fed says, we don't want to try and look at a measure that involves things we can't control. What I mean by that is the Fed wants to see what can they influence with a rate cut or with a rate hike. And things like weather, which could affect food prices, or something happens in the Persian Gulf, which causes oil prices to go up or something like that. The Fed rate cut or hike wouldn't influence that. So a lot of people make fun of it, but they make fun of it because they can't understand it. This is the reason why I'm telling you, is because the Fed wants to focus on what they can have an influence on.
Sure.
And the core rate is what they can influence. They say they want 2%. Where they come up with 2%? They pulled it out of their rear end, okay? 2%, this is what they want. But it's 1.6, they want 2%. So right now, inflation's at a good state. So I think because of just, on the surface, we'd be okay with this Fed rate cut and the bond market should be good. But if Jerome Powell starts to say, well, this could spark some inflation or this or that, then the bond market's going to freak out and we could have a bad day. And you should protect yourself and you should warn your customers. The good thing about this, Frank, is that when we have time like we do now, it's going to happen at 2 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 be the press conference. it's good. Unlike this Friday, we get the jobs report, which is 8:30 a.m. Eastern. That comes out and you can't do anything.
Yeah,
okay?
done.
Here, you could at least monitor it and then say, oh, I should lock in here based on what the market's doing, or I could float and take advantage of it. And there's a lot at stake, because right now, where we are in the charts, you could actually see that 10-year from here go up to about 227 if it's bad news. If it doesn't like it, you could see rates move up about 0.25% in yield.
Wow.
On the way down, it could go down to 193. So they could go down almost 0.25%. So it is really, it's a big deal, and it's an exciting time. And look, there's a lot of people out there, they say, well, they'll lock everything. That's such a dumb move, okay? I mean, it's like so stupid, because how'd that work out for you for the past 9 months? As rates were, you have a lot of happy customers, don't you? Right? Yeah. Either that, or you now you have miserable relationships with your lenders. Loans, or you're doing all the wrong things. And by the way, that is the epitome of being a non-advisor that could be replaced. If you want to be an advisor, well, guess what? You have to give advice to be an advisor. So it's really important that you understand this, because 0.25% is a big deal to your customer, and you don't want to miss out on it. You don't want to waste it on the way up. You don't want to miss out on it on the way down. So that's why pay close attention to what's going to happen tomorrow. And I'm giving you the roadmap. Watch for Chairman Powell's statement. Listen for his statement. If he starts to talk inflation, and by the way, around 2 p.m. Eastern, or if you're on the West Coast, 11 a.m. Pacific, or wherever you are in the country, maybe block out some time so you could focus on this. Okay.
Good idea.
If you have an appointment, see if you can move it up a little bit or back a little bit, and pay attention. And this way you can be that advisor. Look, it is no longer acceptable to be in this business. It hasn't been for a long time, but those who haven't gotten it yet, let's have a little coffee here, and let's understand that it's no longer acceptable to know how to qualify somebody and say, okay, I'm a mortgage professional, okay? If you really want to fend off every single fintech company that wants to replace you, including Zillow and all the others that you guys talk about every day, and Amazon now getting into it, it's just a matter of time. If you want to protect yourself and your family and your income and your house, you want to protect yourself, you better be an advisor. That means you have to understand that you have to know what the market's doing. If you went to buy a stock from a stockbroker that only knew how to fill out a form and didn't know what the stocks would, that's why those guys are out of business. Those guys are out of business, okay? There's no room for that anymore. There's no room for not being a professional and not being an advisor. You want to survive, you want to thrive, you want to be really successful and protect yourself, you better be an advisor. So there you have it.
Awesome stuff, man. And I think we'll go ahead and we wanted to chat about Smart List, but that was good enough. And for the sake of time,
tell you something too, though. I want to tell you this. The housing market, really strong. We got really good numbers. It's really strong. Okay, don't listen to all of the stuff that's out there. It's really healthy and really strong. It's going to be that way for a long time. And I'm telling you that interest rates, even if they move up here, longer term, they're still going to be really good, because they're going to be held down, because our country has a lot of debt. Debt holds interest rates down. It's just like a family that's strapped with debt. They can't spend, which means there's no pricing power to go up, okay? The other thing that you can look at is all of the countries around the world that compete for dollars, there's $13.7 trillion in negative interest rates. Rates are being pulled by gravity lower over time. Okay,
wow.
So remember that, strategize that, know that over time you'll have a refinance opportunity down the road. Don't invest a lot of points, a lot of closing costs. Try to take higher rate or or monthly PMI, not upfront MI, because you're going to refinance everybody you're doing today in the future. And I think we wanted to just cover this for 30 seconds here.
Yeah.
Refinances. Please don't wear the badge that says I'm 98% purchase anymore. Please, and don't neglect your realtors, but don't neglect your past customers. Don't be a one-night stand for them. When you met with them, you said, oh, I'll take care of you in the future, this and that. And then you neglect them and you don't do their refinance and you don't save the money. Right now, 8.2 million people can save 0.75% by refinancing right now. And if you broaden that out because of the no closing cost options that are out there, you can refinance the world. And then if you take it a step further and you're smart, and you use debt consolidation to take advantage of the gift that everybody's been given, which is all this equity that's been built up over the last 7 years by principal pay down and appreciation, people have a bolo. You cover this, okay? 50% is the normal LTV in a home. What could you do with somebody's debts if you pulled some cash out? You
totally
change their life, okay? So
I'm doing it right now.
There you go.
Saving 1%.
Bingo.
Pull a little cash, going to pay off some debt.
And remember, you and I talked. We did a show on this. You and I.
Right. Yeah.
So by doing this, team, what you're doing is you're really, that is what an advisor does. And the key here is Don't do it at the expense of your realtors. Just work hard, okay? This is the time for you to work hard. So I know it's nice to play golf. It's nice to go and take some time. Don't do that now. Yeah. Work like an animal right now, okay? When it's slow, hey, 8 months ago, 9 months ago, when you were doing this and playing solitaire,
right?
Some golf then. That's what. Don't effort your sales, okay? That's the time to go play some golf. Don't do it now. Now is the time to make a boatload of money. The old saying, "Make hay while the sun's shining." Well, it's never been greater.
Right.
Low rates, ton of equity, hot housing market. What are you waiting for?
Do it.
What are you waiting for? Well, we're waiting for conditions to get better.
Yeah.
If you said, "Oh my gosh, I wish that we had a hot housing market. I wish we had low interest rates. I wish they had equity so we could refinance everybody." You got your prayers were answered.
It's everything.
You got everything you wanted. What are you doing taking time off? Get off of your rear end and go write a boatload of business right now.
I'm going to go right now.
There you go.
Fabulous stuff from Barry Habib. And of course,
what the hell they put in this?
Yeah, I don't know. Not what's in mine, obviously. So anyway, the thing too, guys, as well, is like with this important Fed meeting, you can get in for free with MBS Highway first thing this morning if you're not in already, and be connected to Barry, and you'll know exactly what's going on. Lock float, that kind of a thing. We'll put the link right down below. They got a free trial.
Look, if by now people aren't figuring it out, then I don't know what to tell you. But
yeah,
you have no clue what we've added to this product and what you could do. So, really, just you
got to check it out.
I can't even say how crazy it is not to do it for the pennies that you pay for it. It's like,
right. It's nothing
ridiculous. But okay.
Yeah. Anyways. Great to have you on the show.
I love you, brother.
Man.
You too. Listen, I'm giving you a hard time because I want you to be really successful. I want you to win. I want you to be successful. I know what it's like. I grew up super poor. I know what it's like. I can tell you that this is a great opportunity for you. Just do it.
Take it to heart, guys. Thanks again, Barry. We'll catch you guys later. Leave the comments down below. Do us a favor, forward, share, and subscribe if you're meeting us for free. We'll catch you later here at the National Real Estate Post. See you later.